This man, Solomon, accidentally dug up a very rare pink diamond. As a slave forced to work in the diamond mines, he knew this stone could change his life forever, and deep down, he desperately wanted to keep it for himself. But he also knew how dangerous that desire was, because not long before, another worker had been caught hiding a diamond no bigger than a grain of rice inside his mouth, and without hesitation, the rebels had shot him dead right in front of everyone. So Solomon's mind raced with fear as he wondered where on earth he could hide a diamond this big without being noticed. In a world where a single stone can mean freedom or death, every decision Solomon makes from this moment forward carries a terrifying cost. Just as panic began to take over him, fate seemed to intervene when a loud explosion suddenly echoed across the mine, caused by a nearby water pump blowing up, instantly pulling everyone's attention away from Solomon. Acting quickly, Solomon bent down slightly, slid the diamond between his toes, and pressed his foot firmly against the ground to hide it. Then, pretending that he needed to ease himself, he hurried away. Unfortunately, his strange behavior did not go completely unnoticed, and the rebel commander immediately became suspicious and blocked Solomon's path. Luckily, the diamond was hidden under the sole of his foot, and even after being searched from head to toe, nothing unusual was found. Thinking he was finally safe, Solomon moved toward a quiet area to bury the diamond properly. But before he could do so, the cold barrel of a gun was suddenly pressed against his head. It turned out the commander had followed him the entire time. Just as Solomon was about to give up and hand over the diamond, fate stepped in once again. Government forces launched a surprise attack and a bomb exploded right beside them. The commander was badly injured on the spot, and Solomon used the chaos to run for his life. He managed to reach a dry tree and buried the diamond beneath it before being captured shortly afterward by government soldiers. When Solomon arrived at the prison, his worst nightmare came true, because he came face to face with the same rebel commander, who was not dead after all, only badly injured and blinded in one eye. The commander recognized Solomon immediately and shouted in front of everyone that Solomon was hiding a priceless pink diamond, promising a huge reward to anyone who could find it. Instantly, the people around Solomon began staring at him with dangerous eyes. To protect himself, Solomon loudly denied everything and even stripped off all his clothes to prove that he had nothing hidden on him. This may have fooled the smaller criminals, but it did not fool this man, Danny. You see, Danny was a white man who had grown up in Africa and had made a living as a ruthless black market diamond smuggler. On that same day, Danny had once again successfully obtained a batch of diamonds and planned to transport them across the border by pretending to be a magazine reporter while using local shepherds as cover, even sewing the diamonds under the skin of a sheep. However, things didn't go as he'd planned, and when he realized he was about to be caught by the authorities, Danny had no choice but to contact his boss, Colonel Coetzee, the powerful leader of Africa's largest mercenary army. Even though Coetzee was famous and feared, the authorities showed no respect and threw Danny into prison anyway. Ironically, this turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because it was there that Danny learned Solomon was connected to a rare pink diamond. Once Danny was bailed out by his accomplice, he immediately passed this information to him and requested that Solomon must be released no matter the cost. Danny understood very well that the pink diamond was his freedom, because with it, he could finally escape Coetzee's control and leave Africa for good. Later, Solomon was quietly released from prison and even given a little money. Solomon was confused by everything that was happening, but his mind was more focused on finding his family. Before all of this, he had lived a simple life as a fisherman with his loving wife and 3 children. His son Dia was very close to him and eager to learn, waking up early every day to walk long mountain roads just to attend school. That peaceful life ended the day rebels stormed their village, shooting people without mercy, including children. Solomon helped his family escape, but was captured in the process. However, instead of killing him, the rebels sent him to work as a slave in the diamond mines, leading back to the beginning of the story. Meanwhile, Danny went to a bar to order a gun and caught the attention of Maddie, a beautiful reporter. At first, he only wanted her company for the night, but quickly realized she was sharp and had already guessed he was a diamond smuggler. Maddie pressured him to expose the blood diamond trade, but Danny refused, knowing how dangerous that would be. Later, he returned to his hotel to find it ransacked and realized his accomplice had betrayed him by telling Coetzee about the pink diamond. Soon after, Danny was summoned to Coetzee's estate, where the colonel ordered him to retrieve the pink diamond. Coetzee told Danny he's aware of his plans to leave Africa, and made it clear to him that Africa was his prison, and he would never be allowed to leave. Later, Danny met Solomon, who refused to admit anything about the diamond. However, when rebels later attacked their city, Danny convinced Solomon that without him, he would never find his family. In the chaos, Solomon finally agreed to work with him. They managed to escape together and made their way to Maddie's camp, where Danny struck a deal with Maddie, offering information in exchange for help finding Solomon's family. She agreed and soon discovered Solomon's wife and daughters were safe, though his son had been taken and turned into a child soldier. This news broke Solomon completely. From this point on, the diamond is no longer about escape, but about whether a father can reclaim a son the war has already stolen. Eventually, Danny revealed the full truth about the blood diamond trade to Maddie, explaining how diamonds were smuggled, legalized, and controlled by powerful men like Rudolf van de Kapp. He promised proof, but only after securing the pink diamond, and with that, the two agreed to work together. Danny and Solomon disguised themselves as staff members and managed to sneak into Maddie's group without raising suspicion. But while they were traveling toward their destination, the convoy was suddenly attacked by rebels. In the middle of the confusion, Solomon showed his kind and caring nature by risking his life to save a small child. But because the bus was already full and had no space left, the group was forced to climb onto a smaller truck instead. Strangely enough, this turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because every single person left on the bus was later killed by the rebels, while Danny, Solomon, and the others managed to escape in the truck and disappeared into the jungle before they could be caught. Just when they thought they were finally safe, they unexpectedly ran into a group of local villagers living deep in the forest. But thankfully, these people were not violent and did not kill without reason. Through simple hand gestures and Maddie's camera, the villagers slowly understood that they meant no harm and guided the group to a hidden manor where they could safely rest. Compared to the war-torn land they had been traveling through, this place felt like paradise, as if it existed outside the horrors of the war. The children living there were once forced to become child soldiers, but under the patient care and loving guidance of the manor's owner, they had slowly returned to being children again. That evening, as the children sang, Danny finally opened his heart to Maddie for the first time and told her his painful past. He explained that he was a white man born in Africa, and when he was only 9 years old, his mother was killed and his father was brutally beheaded, leaving him with nothing. The war took everything from him, so when he grew older, he followed the colonel and became a mercenary and diamond smuggler. Now all he wanted was a quiet and peaceful life, and the pink diamond represented his only way out of Africa. The next day, the manor owner agreed to guide Danny, Solomon, and Maddie closer to their destination, but along the way, they suddenly encountered a group of rebel child soldiers. Believing kindness could still reach them, the manor owner tried to reason with them, but the children responded by shooting him. Danny reacted quickly, pulling out his gun to scare them long enough to escape, and while speeding away, he realized the colonel's camp was nearby. To save the badly injured manor owner, Danny had no choice but to head there first. The good news was that the owner still had a chance to survive, and Maddie could leave safely with the refugees. But the bad news was that the colonel planned to personally lead his troops to the rebel base and demanded that Danny go with him to find the pink diamond. Danny knew very well that if he followed the army, he would likely end up with nothing. So he secretly asked Maddie to help distract the guards near the armory so he could steal weapons and escape with Solomon. Maddie, who by now had developed feelings for Danny, understood how dangerous this was. But despite her feelings, she agreed to help him. Danny also gave her all the evidence he had gathered, so that even if he died, the truth could still be exposed. With Maddie's help, Danny successfully stole the weapons. Soon after, Danny and Solomon continued their journey together, talking about the pink diamond and their hopes for freedom. One night, Solomon suddenly saw his son Dia riding in a rebel vehicle, and in his panic, he nearly got them killed. Furious, Danny threatened Solomon, but Solomon refused to give up on finding his son, leading to a violent fight between them until Danny finally gave in. Eventually, they reached the diamond mine, But to their surprise, it was heavily guarded. With no options left, Danny sent the location to the colonel for an air attack. However, Solomon realized that his son was inside and could be caught in the line of fire. Because of this, he snuck into the camp at night and tried to emotionally draw his son back to him. But Dia captured him instead, showing how deeply the war had destroyed his humanity. The next morning, as the now one-eyed commander moved to execute Solomon, the colonel and his mercenaries launched their attack. In the chaos, Danny risked his life to save Dia, allowing Solomon to kill the rebel commander. After neutralizing the rebels, the colonel demanded the location of the diamond, and Solomon fearfully revealed where it was hidden. However, Danny and Solomon both knew they would be killed once the colonel got the diamond. Through quick thinking, they managed to kill the colonel and retrieve the diamond, though Danny was badly wounded in the process. With enemies closing in and his wound growing worse, Danny suddenly realized that the colonel was right after all. He was never going to leave Africa. Some diamonds are bought with money, but others are paid for with blood, guilt, and lives that can never be returned. He gave the diamond to Solomon, along with Maddie's card and a gun, and sacrificed himself so Solomon and Dia could escape. Later, with Maddie's help, Solomon reunited with his family and exposed the truth about blood diamonds to the world, leading to the Kimberley Process being signed in 2003 to stop the illegal diamond trade. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, give this video a like, subscribe, and check out other interesting recaps on our channel.